President. You're one-sided, crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please.
Donald Trump. I don't know if you've heard of him. I feel like we haven't talked about our guy Donald in a hot minute, but Donald Trump sat down with Meet the Press's Kristen Welker this morning, and it did not go well. He got asked about the weaponization fund, and she asks, do you think anyone who attacks police officers on January 6th should get taxpayer money? And then he basically says they had FBI agents ushering them in. You had a bunch of dirty cops. She says there's no evidence of that. He says, try to look at the tapes. She says 172 people did plead guilty to assaulting police officers. He goes, you know why they pled guilty? They're told they're going to go to jail for 15 years. They pled guilty because they were frightened. I mean, he's like totally just like, yeah, those are my guys. Those are my fucking dudes. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Like, they were standing back and they were standing by.
They were,
you know.
The speed with which he moved from I had nothing to do with January 6th, these guys are they're whatever, to like, no, they're my dudes. They're my dudes. Donald Trump, not too happy about it, storms off the set.
It was rigged. It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's
President,
happening again right now in California.
Presented evidence.
It's happening
the
right now in California. Right now, it's look at what's happening in California.
To that?
It's 4 days.
Republicans are doing well in
California. It's no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close to coming up with it. You know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
all
that?
I have to do is look. All I have to do is look.
All I have to do is look.
And I listen to people, and let's see what happens.
But, sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think it's appropriate?
That's how they count the votes in
Do you
California.
think it's appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a winner?
That's a good point.
Officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging
they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote in California.
They're crooked, just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
really.
Let's
well, you
continue.
play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid. You play right into their hands with this rap. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I got that? Because you have no credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd.
You have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk about
your elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
By the way, tough for Barry Weiss there. He goes right at her.
You're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I
Thank you,
traveled all
darling.
the way to Wisconsin.
I do love. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin. She's like, I don't want to be fucking here.
Yeah.
I know. I traveled all the way to
for an hour,
Wisconsin.
on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what?
Mr.
A
President,
country can never be great with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we
Come on,
traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
And then,
And then he gives her a little pat on the shoulder.
crazy. I mean, like, holy shit. That's a temper tantrum. That's like a full fucking
Total temper tantrum. I think there are times where Trump does things that are obviously untoured and like, you know, irreverent and, you know, outside the norms of normal American politics. And including when he like fires off a like mean, but kind of funny, like one-liner, you know, even if it's like sexist or whatever, like going after Caitlin Collins, whatever. Sometimes he does this and it like all of his people are like, fucking owned. I'm so happy to finally have someone who's like owning the press, whatever. Like, this was not that. This was like, he looked like a petulant child and totally delusional and like just a baby, just like storming away from like, she was just asking like very basic question and being like, no, obviously we've been through this. The election wasn't stolen. Like,
yeah.
Did
crazy.
not look cool.
Yeah, that is not the response of a man who is in a good state about things. And I think there's another thing about this, which is one, you know, when he's right, he's right. California gotta stop taking so long, you know, gotta really go faster. But I do think like it speaks to why they need to figure this the fuck out. This is the midterms, baby. This is what he's gonna do. He's gonna be impounding fucking ballots. He's gonna have fucking ice at the polling places. He's gonna be saying it was all fraud. I mean, this is where it's gonna go. Obviously, there's the policy impacts, the things he's going to do behind the scenes to try to steal it. Do people actually hear that and go like, yeah, do serious people take him seriously on this? And I don't know.
Yeah, it's risky, right? Like there's been a lot going on in California with, there was a whole scandal that we're not even going to get into about like Poly Market. Like, they're doing these paid promotion of tweets that are like, we're basically saying like, obviously this is being stolen from Steve Hilton and Spencer Pratt. Like, again, I'm not excusing the like actual power players that are amplifying that kind of content. At the same time, like you do create an environment where that stuff can flourish when you take 5 days to count and we've seen this play out before. So it's just like, just change the fucking rules so that people have to drop their ballots off by election day.
Yeah, I do think that this ups the critical nature of why we have to update this, and we should do it fast because it's going to be crazy in the midterms.
We should not whitewash how fucking insane that shit was. And he is sitting at 35% approval. And as these Republicans get through primaries, their incentives change. Like in the primary, your incentive is, oh my God, if Donald Trump goes nuclear on me, my political career is over. And as these guys get through the primaries, like the incentives flip. And the biggest threat to their career is bear hugging a president who's sitting at 35%. And when he's tapping, his mortgage fraud crook to run the intelligence community and trying to build himself ballrooms for billions of dollars and, painting the reflecting pool and, spending all of his time, trying to get a weaponization fund through, like more and more Republicans are going to be desperately trying to find ways to create distance from him. And that further weakens his power.
Nobody knows anything.